And as we come out of the crisis, the job market on the other side is likely to look very different. So for a generation which already faced limited choices, what impact will coronavirus have? Joining me now is the businessman Nigel Morris, who's a trustee of the charity Working Options in Education, which tries to smooth the way to employment, rather. Thanks very much for joining us, Nigel. So your fear is that millions of people, this Generation C, the COVID generation, could have prospects and career opportunities seriously damaged by this?
I think they definitely will. And I think we're looking at a situation now that could be a genuine emergency at the end of the summer. And I actually noticed that the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development today said that youth employment job prospects are crumbling right now. The Institute of Fiscal Studies last week said this is going to be a terrible time to be a graduate. And if you think of the uncertainty, obviously we're all facing a tremendous uncertainty in this health crisis. But at the same time, all these kids, there was the uncertainty about would they have exams? Then there's going to be the uncertainty. There aren't exams, but how are the results going to be allocated? And then what are the prospects then for further education? And as you can see, the job prospects are literally evaporating for them. So this is going to be really for them.
Yeah, and I was reading research this morning that indicated 2 out of 3 graduates surveyed had either had a job or course application withdrawn or paused. So there are clearly fewer opportunities for graduates, and that extends, it's not just graduates we're worried about, of course.
No, that's right. And obviously people coming out of education at 16 into work, people are coming out of education at 18 into work, and they're going to face very difficult job prospects. And I think what we really need to do, and what Working Options in Education does, is make real on-the-ground grassroots interventions to help give kids, especially from more deprived areas, because of course opportunity and options are never equally distributed anyway in the normal times, and this is going to be very far from normal. So we need to make interventions to create options and opportunities for these kids. But we also need to really look at the longer term, and again, how we're completely reframing what kind of future we want to create. And actually, I think there's an opportunity to put Generation C at the centre of that future, because the centre of that future is obviously going to be a very digitised economy.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how specifically the government at the moment obviously is worried about the here and now, the people who have lost their jobs, the people who's lost income, and businesses about to go bust, which is absolutely right. But what can we do about this generation that could be losing all these opportunities? What ideas does Working Options in Education have?
Yeah, so one of the things that we want to try and stimulate, and thank you very much for picking up on this, and the reason I tried to frame it as a Generation C issue is how do you put them at the centre of the solution moving forward? Because a lot of people always think that technology, they look at artificial intelligence and robotics, they look at data science, and they see it as actually quite often it's framed as quite negative. These are very, very natural technologies and native technologies to young people. They're also the future of productivity. Actually, what we need to do is actually harness this generation come August and September, because otherwise we're just going to be actually just paying them to sit around. What we need is a policy framework and a set of ideas, and we're obviously very happy because we're connected in to a lot of these kids personally. We're connected into a lot of the education institutions to actually frame the sort of program that could harness them and put them at the centre of what an economy could be and should be in the future. And then we need business, we need education, we need policymakers, we need the media, we need technology, and that means the startup industry, because in the UK we're ahead in a lot of these new technologies, and we also need the big tech platforms to play a role. And we actually all need to come together to frame the kind of economy that is actually going to drive recovery quicker, create wider prosperity, but actually, instead of actually losing a generation, we put that generation into the, if you like, the design of the future, and we need a better future.
OK, well, look, Nigel, we wish you luck with all that. Thanks very much for coming on, and appreciate your time this afternoon. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you.